What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, not so good news on the Xbox side, but given the circumstances, the environment of the industry, and all these things, not unexpected, not surprising. But, so the news was some layoffs. What did you say, 4%? Which I guess was like 9,000 people or something like that. Not all just games, but across the whole corporation, the whole whatever company. But those affected were the Initiative. They're gone. They shut down Perfect Dark, which I was like, I was interested in it. It looked kind of cool, but then I was like, I mean, what, I didn't like the other Perfect Darks, to be honest. I played Perfect Dark because it was backwards compatible. I was like, okay, that's an old game, 360. I think it was 360, right? Or was that no? That was Xbox, OG Xbox, right? Yeah. And then Perfect Dark Zero was 360, which wasn't that much better. Oh, actually, it wasn't. It was bad. Anyway, so I was like, okay. I mean, if they take a new, it looked kind of cool, but I was like, I don't have an affinity for the series, so I was like, they could have done something. It would have been the best one in the series, but what's that saying? Whatever. So I'm like, okay. And they had problems. And I think what's going on in Microsoft. Oh, go back to the layoffs thing. Turn 10, I think, lost 50% of their studio cuts. They haven't closed down. They just cut the studio down to, I think they had 500 people, and then cut them down to, I guess 200, 250, whatever. Which makes sense because they make a racing game every generation or something. Do you need 500 people? Yeah, kind of don't. And the thing is, wait, who else? What else happened? I don't remember what else. Who else was affected? Some Call of Duty studios were affected, but I don't think anything closed. But I'm not sure. But anyway, what is happening has been a long time coming, right? So I think games like Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 has opened the eyes of the upper echelon of these corporations, specifically Microsoft. And Sony's going through their own thing with Bungie, so that's a whole other thing. But they're looking at Clair Obscur, they're looking at Expedition 33, and they're like, okay, how can 33 or however many people make this banger? How? And we got 500 people, and we don't make a banger. What's going on? What's going on, right? And so that's basically what they're, and it's tied to the bottom line. So they're like, this math ain't mathing. So it's like, look, you gotta cut the fat. Whoever's not pulling their weight, they got to go. Does that mean people there have to do double time or no? What it means is that they'll be more efficient. So they'll say, okay, boom, you got a core studio. This is what the initiative's supposed to be, but I guess they had problems, personnel problem, interpersonal problems and stuff. So that's a whole different thing. But if you got a team that's clicking and they are on the ball, you don't need a huge team. You need a small team that can get it done. And then you say, okay, we need some people, we need some assets. You go get the assets. You usually just buy them, or you go to an asset house, or you go hire some people to make some assets. You need some honestly, level designers should be part of your core crew. But like, textures and lighting, maybe you got one main dude and you got some, other dudes, some contract workers to help out with that. There's different ways you can kind of configure the teams so that they are more efficient than paying 500 people for 10 years, 7 years, and you don't see the return, the ROI on that, because they spent too much time and you had to pay all these people that many years, when you can pay half the people and get the same result or even better. And also, scope of these games were too big, so they have to make those smaller anyway. So smaller scope equals smaller teams, less money, blah, blah, blah. So there is a shrinkage happening in the industry, but I don't think it is a problem. I don't think it's just a symptom of like the whole COVID thing, and there was an inflation and blah blah blah, and now it's shrinking back. I mean, actually, the inflation started with the end of the PS3 era. Sony doing these ridiculous games that cost ridiculous amounts of money, unsustainable. They kept doing it. They basically ruined the industry, and now we have to regroup and retract, shrink back down to a controllable and sustainable size. You know, these studios, these companies, these corporations, well, not the corporations, but you know, corporations, the bigger the corporation, the more of the studios that they can have. But still, these projects need to be small. Now, the CEO may be like, yo, I want to make a game about a purple bunny and a donkey unicorn. And everybody's like, okay, just make it. I don't care. Just make it. Make my game. And so they spend $500 million on this Donkey Unicorn game. The Purple Bunny and Donkey Unicorn. PB and DU. PBDU. Uh, and, you know, is it a hit? Who cares? Doesn't matter. The boss wanted it done, it's done, and stuff like that will happen. Passion projects by leaders will happen. Whether or not they're a success is a whole nother story. Just look at what Herman Hulst did. His passion projects, it was nepotism for real, for real. He was like, everything Gorilla does is to the forefront because those my people. That's my baby. And that's what happened. And everything they've been putting out is hot trash garbage except for that engine, that Decima engine. And guess what? I mean, for Horizon, it's an okay game. It looks great, but the game itself, not so much. What Kojima does with it, better, I think. But at the same time, the gameplay is still, I mean, people, look, I played Death Stranding 1. I tried to play it. I played about maybe 2 hours of it. I got past the part where I encountered the BBs. The BBs? No, whatever the floating smog monster dudes were. I got to that one part. And I got past that. And then I was like, yeah, I was on another, go walk across the land and deliver this pizza. I forgot what I was delivering. I was like, I don't feel like doing this right now. And I stopped playing. I was like, nah, B, nah. And there's a reason why I don't play delivery games, but that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll tell you that story, and maybe I'll tell you the reason why one day, but it's not really that important. Anyway, so Death Stranding 2 looks better. Looks like the combat's a little bit more interesting and the graphics a little bit better, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's still the same game. Just with more cool stuff. And everybody's like, ooh, how'd they do the fireworks? I know how they did the fireworks. Pay attention, though, to the fact that he doesn't have a shadow in the reflection. Okay? Which is disturbing because I'm like, wait, is his reflection actually in it? And I was like, I don't think so. And then I was like looking for a shadow because I'm like, all this light. I'm like, how come he doesn't have a shadow at all? Even though they come from different sources, he should have something. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So whatever. And these Donkey Unicorns and Ponies, especially MBG, he's like, oh my gosh, we got a W for Death Stranding. And I'm like, remember what I said, right? All they want are W's. They don't care if the game is good or bad, whatever. That doesn't matter. It's just, it's highly rated. And this is W. Now, here's the thing. Death Stranding 2 has to sell a lot of copies as well. If it doesn't sell a lot of copies, if it does 1.5 million, if it pulls one of those, forget it. It's another Astrobot. It's a failure. Especially when you got, we got 80 million. They keep upping the number. Like, really? You don't have 80 million consoles sold through. You don't. It's just a fact. The fact you keep saying it just shows how delusional or just ill-informed you are, or just the fact that you don't want to believe the actual truth. I was listening to this new dude. I'd never seen him before. What was it? Cigs and Cereal, I think is this channel. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. Even though I don't smoke, but that was a pretty amusing title. And he was talking about Reforge. He does the talking head stuff where he'll sit there, watch a video and then he'll react. And maybe I'll do that one day, but that's not my thing right now. And so he was talking about how Reforge Gamer was kind of, what was he doing? He was going on about how Colt Eastwood, oh no, I'm sorry, it was Destin. Destin had his video about how the handhelds, the portable handheld, the handheld console PC, which is the label on the back of the ROG Ally. It's not a PC, this and that and the third. These companies are confusing you and disingenuous and all this stuff. And I'm like, part of the narrative that these Nokia unicorns and ponies are trying to promote is that confusion part. And Laura Fryer didn't help because, and neither did Mike Ibarra. It's only confusing because people like Reforge and Mike Ibarra and whoever else are saying that it is. If you step back, you sit there and you say, okay, what are they doing, right? Not what is expected of them. That's a different thing. It's not, oh, they're a console maker, so this is what they're supposed to do. That's not how it works. That's not how business works. That's not how these giant corporations move and navigate, especially one that is so big like Microsoft and still agile. That's the most amazing thing about like Microsoft and how they're doing their thug thizzle right now. It's like they're a giant corporation, the biggest publisher on the planet. Yet and still, they can be like, yo, now we're gonna do this. Now we're gonna. They're doing things that no other company has done in this space, and people are afraid. People are afraid of change, yes, especially Japan. They don't want to change nothing. They want to just do it how it's been done ever since the NES days. That's how they want to do things. That's how Nintendo wants to do things. And Nintendo's a whole other thing, man. They're banning bricking consoles. I'm like, yo, I think Brazil's supposed to be suing them, class action lawsuit about that. I hope they win, and I hope everybody sues them because that's the only way that Nintendo learns when they get smacked through the internet by somebody else. It happened with the 3DS. Nobody bought it because it was too expensive. Oops, let's lower the price and give out some games. You got to do it. You can't just be like, oh, give it to me more, give me more. You can't do that. You can be like, nah, nope, not buying that. I was thinking about maybe buying a Switch too, because I just want like retro games and stuff, like the Sega Classics and all the Sega Ages, really. That's all. I buy that on every system. But I'm not buying it. There's no way I'm buying a Switch. I wouldn't even buy it for Mario Kart World. I'm like, I don't even care about that game. I might get it if it's a sale or something. I might get it and try it out. But what I've heard is like, I'm not interested. Forza Horizon is just a far superior open world racing game. Anyway, PlayStation, these donkey unicorns, these ponies are trying to run with this narrative of confusion. Microsoft, Xbox is confusing. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know their place and to pick a lane and stay in the lane and all this bullshit. And I'm like, look, y'all are just mad because Microsoft is setting up the chessboard in such a way that Sony they're going to flip the table over, and because they can't win. The way that I see it right now, they can't win. They don't have enough studios to combat the amount of studio. Even Microsoft closing down Everwild, and that was the other game, Everwild and Perfect Dark, and closing the Initiative. Even with that, and even with the layoffs, Microsoft still has more studios, still has more games, still has more first-party IP than anybody else. And if we're just talking about PlayStation will be lucky if they can put out one first-party game every year, and that is sad. That is a sad state of affairs. From where they were at their highest to now, they went down. They went down. You can see it now. I don't have to be like, oh, they're going down. This is the beginning of the end of PlayStation. No, they already started going down the mountain. I don't know how deep the valley is, but they're still going down. Are they going to keep going down? I mean, the proof is going to be in these games that come out. Now, I have a feeling that these PlayStation games, these exclusives, these first-party exclusives are going to rate higher than usual because all of the PlayStation fanboys that populate the media will give it that extra bump because they're not getting any games. And this is the only first-party game. We got to give it more than it deserves because we have to help Sony out because there's this poor little company that's struggling with no games. That's what's going to happen. So I won't be surprised if Ghost of Yote gets a 90 or whatever. you know? Because, I mean, honestly, it looks like the first game with more flowers. Twice the flower sprites. Games like Perfect Dark represented a fresh take on an old idea, but listen, if it doesn't work and it's not working, you cancel it, right? That's what Sony canceled so many games this generation that they've actually canceled more games than they have released. First party, of course. They have canceled more games than they have released. They have canceled the most games than any other video game quote company in the history of video games. They had the biggest failure in the history of video games ever, and now I'm adding this one. They have canceled more games than any video game company within a generation ever. That's two. That's two Guinness Book of World Records for Sony right there. For PlayStation. I'm like, yo, never forget Concord, yo. It's crazy. So, but I mean, look, layoffs is bad. We don't like it. But like I said, there is shrinkage happening. And the way that you do it is you kind of go through your corporation. You go through, you say, okay, what's the deal with this game? Where are they at? What's going on? Oh, y'all ain't got nothing really? Oh, it's not gonna be out for another 5 years? Sorry, nope. Sorry, no. That's not gonna happen. We're not spending another $200 million on this thing only for it to get canceled. Like, we're not concording this thing right here. We're not gonna but there ain't no buts. You know what happened. You know what concording means. This ain't happening. And like, well, I can't blame you. You're right. You can't. It's not like they're sad. They're like, yeah. Oh, you can. Yeah. I mean, I know I can't work here anymore because you're closing down the studio. Can I get another job? Can I get a job at Playground Games? Maybe. They seem like they know what they're doing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if there's some openings. But there are definitely openings in I forgot who said there were openings. Not who said, but there were studios that are like, oh, we got openings here and openings. So I'm like, oh, okay. So it's all good. I mean, it happens in the industry anyway. It's like whether it's contract workers or full-time workers, veterans. The veterans usually break off and do their build their own studio and sell it to Sony for a good chunk of change and then bounce. Jade Raymond, she knows what's up. She cashed in. She's like, I'm too old for this, man. Let me sell. Get that bag and peace out. And that's what she did. And so, when you look at the certain things, the different things that happen, and here's the thing that I would like to know, because knowledge is knowledge. Knowledge is great. I would like to know the breakdown of the layoffs. Like we have, 50-something% of turn 10. That's fine. Okay, that's video games. But I would like a further breakdown. Like, okay, not who exactly, but the positions that were eliminated. So we can say, okay, how many people are in that position and how many people got laid off from that position. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want. I want like the minutia. Because if like 90% of it is like, oh, it's HR and it's QA or something like that. Not that I'm saying HR and QA aren't important. They are, but they don't. Well, QA does help with the game, but initially they don't make the game. But they are very important. Right? So let's not get it twisted. QA is very important in, finding the bugs, fixing the bugs, finding issues, problems, pacing, all different types of things that go into a video game. But they're not initially involved in the creative process, let's just say, per se. So, stuff like that happens. Press, media, social media, staff, community managers. You don't know who got, to get that, and contractors. I would imagine most contractors, because it is, I guess yesterday was the beginning of the fiscal year for Xbox, so they had to make changes. So they probably wiped out their contractors, the contract workers, so now they can start it again. They say, okay, boom, we got a new fiscal year, we got our budget, let's go, let's get some contract workers, who needs them, boom, boom, boom. And that's how they do it. And they say, yo, you got 12 months, that's it. And these people know. So it's not like they're like, oh man, I got fired. Like, no, you knew after that, that's it and that's all. I remember when I started working at some place, and when I got the position, it wasn't a permanent position. It was like a 6 month or 8 month. It was, it was a time frame, and I realized, I knew that, so I made plans and preparations to for something else after that. So it's not like, oh man, they laid me off. It's like, no, you just said it on the paper that you only get 6 to 8 months. That's it. So the contract worker stuff, I'm not shedding no tears for them, because honestly, I used to work another gig, and I was an independent contractor, and that sucks. It sucks, but that's the, hey, if that's the role you chose, you're not forced to be an independent contractor. That's your choice. If you want to go into a corporation and be an employee, that's another choice. So, I don't cry for independent contractors leaving after their time is up, because that's the whole thing. That's what's up. But anyway, so I want the percent. I want to know how many were independent contractors. I want to know how many were, like, longtime managers that they said they're trying to thin out the managerial levels so that it's more efficient, which makes sense. You don't need a manager for a manager with a team lead and a secondary team lead, substitute teacher team lead. I don't know. So, like, cut out all that, middleman stuff. And you got the studio, you got the studio head, you got Mad Booty, you got Certified Film. That's it. That's all. You shouldn't have all these, And then, of course, each set, like the art department has a head artist, and then you have all your underlings, and then the environmental artist is get the more one guy, and then you have all your underlings, and you got the concept artist, head lead concept artist, and then you have all just like movie production. You see, it says lead concept artist, lead. Whatever, man. I mean, they know what they're doing, so it's just like they gotta, like you said, like I said, they gotta trim the fat, and that's what they're doing. And so, it's all good. I mean, it's not all good, like I said, some people losing their jobs or whatever, but some are, they're cashing in. They're like, you can leave early retirement, you get a bag. It's like, all right, peace out, homies. And they bounce. So, we don't have all the information. All we have is layoffs. Boom. And then, it's all speculation from there. We don't know exactly the nature of the layoffs, and, how bad was it? How many people actually, like, when they closed the studio, all of them didn't get fired. I mean, essentially they did, because the studio's gone, but a lot of them got absorbed or rehired into another spot, into Microsoft or whatever. Or, they're going to go find another job somewhere else, or they're going to become a contract, worker, because they don't have anything immediate. So they'll do that until they can, get another job, full-time job, or a full-time gig, or I don't know, whatever. But anyway, I appreciate you hanging out, man. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about not so much the layoffs. We all know it's a bad thing, but how the ponies and donkey unicorns are twisting and turning it, making it a little bit more than it should be, and given the overall environment and temperature of the industry, is it that surprising, or is it really a bad thing, or is it kind of just like kind of expected? And for the health of the industry overall, for it to survive, to keep going, things like this you need to purge a little bit sometimes. And I mean, like, look, there could be an instance where all the people I doubt this, but I'm gonna say all the people that fired were not great people. They were bad people, bad at the job, and actually bad people, and nobody liked them. So he's like, yeah. It's like, yo, we gonna lay off people? Yeah. Yo, we gotta get rid of Raphael. He's a bad person. I saw him kick a kitten the other day. What? He kicked a kitten? Yeah, man. He was just like that. He was listening to a salsa or something. I don't know what he's listening to. Some lambada music. I don't know what he's listening to. He's a Spanish dude. And he kicked it. He said, "Viva Cuba!" And the funny thing, he's not even from Cuba. He's from Honduras. Anyway, I preached. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Took the weed.